Hey, welcome back. Today's lineup is all real. No fiction, no creative writing, just people sharing things that actually happened to them. Subscribe if you enjoy this format, and let's dive in. 27F. I went back to my childhood home and realized something horrifying about the bushes I hid under for years. Some memories don't resurface until you're standing in the exact place they happened. When they do, they carry a weight you don't expect to feel. I went back to my parents' house for the first time in over a decade because they're selling it and I needed to help clear things out. Walking through the backyard, I saw the bushes, the same thick, sprawling ones I used to hide under as a kid. I squeezed down and looked underneath, and I could see the hollow, that little space where I'd crawl in when my parents were fighting or when everything felt like too much. I discovered that spot in 3rd grade and kept going back to it until around 7th grade. It became my sanctuary. What's haunting me now is that I remember food in that hollow. Actual food. Sandwiches, fruit, water bottles, sometimes desserts. When I'd crawl under those bushes because I needed to disappear, the food would just be there. As a kid, I thought the world was taking care of me somehow, like magic. But I'm standing here as an adult now, staring at that same hollow, and it hit me all at once. That doesn't make any sense. Food doesn't appear on its own. Someone was leaving it there. Someone knew exactly where I was hiding. Someone was watching me crawl under those bushes and knew when to bring supplies. And then I remembered Mr. Collins. He lived on the other side of the fence, the property that backed up to ours. I can hear his voice now. He used to call to me from beyond the fence. "There you are," he'd say, like he knew exactly where to find me. And I'm standing here as an adult realizing what that means, and I can't breathe. The implications were starting to click into place. The memory of his voice was the first piece of a puzzle that would unravel everything she thought she understood about her childhood. But here's where it gets bad. As OP stood there, staring at those bushes, a face started to come into focus. A neighbor. A man named Mr. Collins from 3 houses down. And the more she thought about it, the more the pieces started to rearrange themselves into something much darker than a childhood mystery. I can see him now, Mr. Collins. God, I haven't thought about his name in years, but it's just there. He had a garden that backed onto our property. He was always in his backyard. Always. My parents used to say he was odd, that he kept to himself too much, that something was off about him. I remember my dad telling my mom once that we should keep an eye on things, with some warning tone I didn't understand as a kid. They were careful around him, but they never said why. But the memories I'm getting back now, they're specific, and they're starting to form a pattern. I remember him calling out to me from his side of the fence. Come here, I have something for you." And I remember going to the hollow. I remember him saying things like, "I left you something," and "Is it enough today?" I remember the weight of knowing even as a 3rd grader, that I could never tell anyone about this. Not my parents, not my teachers, not my friends, not even my friends' parents. I just knew. How does an 8-year-old know that? The food wasn't random. The hollow wasn't safe. It was a meeting place. And I was chosen because I was easy. A kid whose parents fought, who had a hiding spot already made, who was already isolated by circumstances he didn't create, but definitely exploited. He was building something with me. Dependency, maybe, or access, or both. I don't even know which is worse because I can't remember how it ended, and the fact that I can't remember is almost the most terrifying part of all of this. That realization that a predator had been systematically isolating her, using food and attention and specific words to build something she was conditioned never to speak about. It reframed everything. It wasn't protection she felt in that hollow. It was capture. Standing in that backyard, the pieces clicked together. Not all at once, like a puzzle where you suddenly see the pattern emerge. I've been trying to write this down because saying it out loud feels like it would shatter me. The food wasn't random. It was there every time I went to that hiding spot. Food, water, sometimes treats, always when I needed it most. When Mom and Dad were screaming at each other, when everything felt too loud and too much, I'd crawl under those bushes and it would be there. like the world knew what I needed. But here's what I'm realizing now. I was separated. He, Mr. Collins, he knew exactly when I'd be there. He knew my family patterns, my routines, the days my parents fought. He was feeding a 6, 7, 8-year-old girl in isolation, building dependency where she felt safer under bushes with a stranger's food than in her own house. That's not kindness. That's systematic. That's control. And what breaks me is the wall in my memory. I remember the hiding spot, the food, his voice from beyond the fence. But the timeline, how it escalated, how it ended, nothing. It's like someone took scissors to the film, which means something worse happened that I buried too deep to access. I know it, feel it, can't prove it. This is textbook grooming behavior, isolation through care, making the child dependent on the abuser. Please do not confront your mother or him alone. Talk to a trauma professional first. I'm a survivor of childhood grooming, and this just broke me. The way you described the food, the isolation, the way he knew when you'd be there, that's intentional. That's exactly what they do. Have you verified he lived there during those specific years? Sometimes childhood memory reconstruction can feel real, but details might be mixed up. The recognition was undeniable, but incomplete. Somewhere in that gap was a memory she couldn't reach. So OP found herself confronting her mother directly, asking questions she'd been afraid to ask. I went through the old photo albums, and he's in every single family photo from that year. I finally asked my mom directly about the memories, about the food that appeared under the bushes. The second I mentioned Mr. Collins by name, her entire face changed. She got very quiet, then said, "Some things are better left alone, sweetheart. The past is complicated." No denial, no, you're imagining it, just that refusal. So I went to the old photo albums from that era. I wasn't expecting to find anything concrete, but I needed to know. What I found made my skin crawl. He's there. In the birthday party photos from when I was 8, in the barbecue pictures from summer 1999, in school picture day photos where parents were invited, always positioned just slightly to the side, always within arm's reach in almost every shot. In one photo from my 9th birthday, his hand is literally on my shoulder. I don't remember any of these moments happening. I've looked through every album from age 7 through 12, and I count him appearing in 17 different family photos. 17. My mother knew he was there. My entire family was in these pictures with him, and nobody ever said a single word about it to me. Reactions in the comments were immediate. Your mother's defensiveness is meaningful, but it could mean many things. Don't make accusations before you have clarity. This is heavy trauma work, and you need professional support first. The fact that you have zero memory of how it ended is significant. That's likely a dissociative block. My therapist said the same thing about my own memory gap. The mind protects itself from unbearable things by walling them off completely. The block isn't a sign she's wrong. It's often a sign something serious happened that required complete dissociation to survive. The weight of what those photos meant, what the family silence implied, was almost unbearable. So OP went back and did something that would change everything. She pulled out the old family albums. I went through the old photo albums, and he's in every single family photo from that year. I've been going through every album from that year, and I'm sitting here just watching. His face is there in summer barbecues, birthday parties, holidays, in the background of moments I had completely forgotten, or told myself I forgot. He's in a photo of me at age 8 in front of the house, and he's right there, just at the edge of frame, watching. I haven't confronted my mom again. I can't yet. What I can tell you is that I'm calling a trauma therapist on Monday, someone who specializes in childhood dissociation and abuse. I'm not going to police without understanding my own mind first. I don't have concrete memories of anything explicitly harmful, no pictures, no journal entries, nothing that proves a crime. What I have is a hollow in the bushes, a broken memory, and a man's face appearing in every single family photo from a time period I'm still too afraid to fully remember. I'm wrestling with whether anyone will even listen without that, or whether my fractured recollection is enough. The comments hit different on this one. People saw the pattern immediately. A predator integrated so completely into family moments that it looked like he belonged there. But he didn't. The fact that you have zero memory of how it ended is significant. That's likely a dissociative block. Please see a trauma-informed therapist before doing anything else, including telling family. Your mom's reaction of, "Some things are better left alone," is the most concerning thing here. That's not shock. That's someone protecting a narrative they've been hiding for decades. This is what systematic grooming looks like when memory fragments. Not the kind that plays out in clear scenes. This is fractured, incomplete, with gaps so large they almost swallow the truth. OP is doing exactly right. Professional help first. No forced confrontations. No letting this stay buried. It's not closure yet, but it's the start of something honest. On to the next one. My hospital roommate refused discharge, and I caught her watching me sleep at 3 a.m., 27-year-old female. The next story took place in a hospital room. Our narrator was admitted for a routine laparoscopic surgery, the kind of thing that keeps you for a few days and then sends you home. Everything was normal at first. A quiet roommate in the other bed, recovering from her own procedure. Nothing alarming, just standard hospital existence. Day 3. Night 4, technically. I woke at 3 a.m. the way you sometimes do. No reason, just eyes open in the dark. And I felt it immediately. That weight, that presence, like someone standing outside your door breathing. Through the gap in the curtain, I could see her silhouette, completely still, and her eyes, locked on me. Not glancing, not checking, locked, watching, aware. We froze like that, both of us caught. Her knowing I'd caught her, knowing I was awake. And then the nurse knocked and pushed through the curtain with the medication cart, and Dee's body went slack instantly. Eyes closed, asleep, just like that. She was mid-50s. She'd had her procedure the day before I arrived. In the daylight hours, she seemed fine, quiet, polite, sleeping when I slept. We'd made small talk about the food. I'd never caught her staring, never felt anything off, but now I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. Those eyes, that focus. It wasn't confused, it wasn't accidental, it was deliberate. And when the nurse left and turned off the cart's light, we were back in the dark. Back to that silence. Back to the weight of being watched. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. And that feeling, that certainty that something was deeply, deliberately wrong, it was only the beginning. In a place where you can't just leave, where you're hooked to machines and limited by pain and medication, being watched by someone who won't stop watching becomes something else entirely. Day 5 came, and I desperately wanted to believe the night before was just a weird moment. One isolated glitch in an already disorienting stay. But Dee had already moved on from that moment. She was planning further ahead than I realized. She wasn't sleeping. I know what sleep looks like after 5 days in a hospital bed watching another person's rhythms obsessively. The medications they have her on should have knocked her out. But her eyes would open just a sliver whenever I shifted, whenever I moved. Not reacting to anything, not the beeping machines, not the nurse checking vitals, but the moment my breathing changed, hers did too. By day 6, I couldn't rationalize it anymore. She positioned herself on her side, facing the gap in our curtain. Not all the way closed, there was always a sliver of space. And she would lay there, perfectly still, for hours. When I finally pretended to sleep and watched through barely open eyes, I saw her hand moving. Just barely. There was a small notepad tucked beside her pillow. Every shift I made, every time my breathing changed, her hand would move, writing, recording. The physical dread was something else entirely. It's one thing to feel watched. It's another to watch someone watch you. To understand that the watching is deliberate, methodical. That this person has chosen to spend their recovery time observing me in the dark, counting my breathing, waiting for something. I kept telling myself she was confused, still medicated, that people recovering from surgery do weird things. But she participated perfectly normally with the doctors, answered questions coherently, smiled at the nurses. Then, the moment they left and the curtain was pulled, her face would go blank, focused, back to watching. By the end of day 6, I knew without doubt, this wasn't confusion or medication effects. This was deliberate. This was choice. And looking at how she reacted every time someone mentioned discharge, the calculated way she shifted, how her eyes found me in the dark, it was clear she wasn't planning on leaving. Day 5 came with clearance. Everything medically said Dee could leave, and that's exactly when things shifted. The nurse arrived mid-morning with discharge papers. Dee was quiet for a moment. Then, "I feel dizzy when I stand." Blood pressure normal, heart rate steady. The nurse had already checked. "That's common post-anesthesia," she said. "Usually passes. You'll feel better at home." "I need another day," Dee said, quieter, "just to be safe." An hour later, the nurse returned. "How's the dizziness?" "Worse," Dee said flatly. Her eyes were tracking something through the curtain gap, tracking me. Then the incision. "I think it's leaking." The nurse checked. It wasn't. Bandage clean, wound clean, everything healing on schedule. "The tape might be shifting when I move," Dee suggested. They both knew it wasn't true. "I can't walk today," Dee said when the nurse suggested a hallway walk. But I'd watched her walk to the bathroom yesterday. Slow, careful, but steady. Now her legs had stopped working. "Tomorrow maybe. I just need to rest." The nurse stepped out. Through the curtain gap, I watched her exchange that look with the resident in the hallway. The tight, exhausted glance that said, "She's faking and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it." I lay in that bed and understood. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't pain or fear about recovery. This was deliberate. Dee had been cleared and she'd chosen to stay, to remain in my room. Comments came in hot, and they weren't pulling any punches about what was actually happening. That card appearing from inside a locked psych ward is the most horrifying part. She either found a way out or someone helped her. "Please check every inch of your apartment for anything else she might have left behind." The "help you not run anymore" phrasing isn't comforting. It's a threat. She wasn't trying to soothe you. She was planning to stop you from running. Get cameras installed immediately and document everything. People were seeing something in this situation that made them terrified on your behalf. 2 days past discharge, OP came back with an update. Found the journal she hid in my apartment. I'm not even her first. It's day 7. Day 7. I asked her directly this morning, "Why won't you leave?" And I'll never forget how she looked at me. First she said, "I don't have anywhere to go," like that would just be accepted. And then she leaned forward and said, "I was watching because you seemed troubled. You move in your sleep, like you're running from something. I was going to help you not run anymore." That's when the social worker arrived, then a psychiatric nurse. And that's when they started asking Dee questions that went way back. 2 weeks before I was even admitted, before I had any idea who she was, Dee became obsessed with a stranger at a grocery store. Just one chance encounter. She filled journal pages with details about them, tried to find them, tracked their patterns. When that fixation went nowhere, the hospital realized she'd transferred everything onto me. Same pattern, same obsession. I was the new stranger in her reach. The comment section didn't hold back. "This sounds like erotomania or obsessive relational intrusion, ORI." The fact that she has documented obsession cycles with strangers, meeting them once and fixating, is a serious pattern. Hospitals should have flagged her psychiatric history before rooming her with anyone vulnerable post-op. New locks are step 1. Install cameras, doorbell cam, alert neighbors to report anyone asking about you. If she's fixated enough to watch you sleep and send cards from hospital, changing locks might escalate her when she's released. Get a restraining order filed preemptively. This is solid advice. OP, file a police report now. Create a documented paper trail even if nothing's happened yet. Then, consult a lawyer about a restraining order. If she contacts you or shows up, that report matters. Don't wait for escalation. Also, call your hospital's patient advocate and ask why behavioral health let her observe a post-op patient in her care without flagging it. 2 days later, OP was discharged and went home. But on day 2 of freedom, something arrived in her mailbox. Found the journal she hid in my apartment. I'm not even her first. I found a card in my mailbox yesterday. Pencil drawing of a hospital bed with 2 sleeping figures. Her signature doodles. No return address. I called the hospital with hands shaking. The psychiatric ward wouldn't confirm anything. Security just passed me around. Finally, someone asked, "Is she still inside?" My blood went cold. The hold expired. Nobody told me if she was released. Is she out there? Did she follow me home? I changed my locks that day, installed cameras, but I can't sleep. Every shadow makes my heart stop. I keep hearing her voice. "I was going to help you not run anymore." What did that mean? Then I found it, hidden in my closet, a journal, her handwriting, dozens of pages, dates going back weeks before the hospital, names, addresses, patterns. Not just me, women at grocery stores, a woman on the bus. I'm not the first. I'm just the one she had access to. That's the real horror. Not fear, uncertainty. She's either locked in a ward or walking free. Either way, she's thinking about me. The journal proves it. I can't unsee those 3 a.m. eyes. Can't unhear that promise. Being chosen by the wrong person leaves you changed forever. Comments on this one hit hard. We had someone similar. They hid a note in a discharge patient's belongings. Hospital didn't catch it until the patient found it at home. This is exactly why behavioral screening matters. I'm genuinely worried for you. And that's the last story for today.